What happens when some of the poorest nations in the world take back control of the very resources that made them rich in the eyes of foreigners? Uranium, gold, diamonds, lithium. For decades, these treasures of the soil were mined, exported, and controlled not by Africans but by Western companies. But now Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger are saying, enough. They're kicking out foreign mining giants, tearing up old contracts, and nationalizing their mineral wealth. This is the story of the alliance of Sahel states and their bold road toward nationalization, a move that could reshape Africa's future and unsettle the balance of power in Europe, America, and beyond. The Sahel region stretching across the belly of Africa has always been rich in minerals but poor in development. Gold in Mali, uranium in Niger, diamonds and copper in Burkina Faso. For decades, foreign corporations, many of them French, Canadian, or Australian, reaped the profits while local governments struggled with poverty, insurgency, and instability. But in 2023 and 2024, something began to shift. One by one, these governments, led by young nationalist leaders, started tearing up the playbook of dependency. And in its place, they wrote a new one: resource nationalization. Burkina Faso's 36-year-old leader, Ibrahim Traoré, has become the face of this new revolution. He declared openly, "We are going to get our mining licenses back, and we are going to mine it ourselves." For years, Burkina Faso, Africa's fourth largest gold producer, saw its mines controlled by foreign companies. Canadian companies operated in Mana, Australians in the south, and French firms in Bissa. The result? Over 1,000 mining businesses in the country, but only 12% contribution to GDP and a mere 65,000 jobs. In 2024, Traoré's government adopted a new mining code. The state can now own 15 to 30% of mining projects without paying in. Large-scale permits were cut from 20 years to just 10. Small-scale permits reduced to 5. A mining development fund was created to funnel profits into local development projects and security operations. This is critical because Burkina Faso has been bleeding resources fighting terrorism. Security spending has risen 138% in just 5 years. Now, instead of funding French multinationals, Traoré wants gold revenues funding soldiers and schools. Most recently, the government struck an $80 million deal to take over Bangu and Wagnian gold mines, previously owned by London-listed Endeavour Mining. They are now in the hands of Burkina Faso. Traoré's message is simple: we know how to mine our gold. Why let foreigners take it? Next door, Mali is Africa's third largest gold producer. Gold makes up 80% of exports, 30% of tax revenue, and sustains 10% of the population. But for decades, companies like AngloGold Ashanti and IAMGold controlled the biggest mines. In 2023, Mali passed a new mining code even stricter than Burkina Faso's. The state gets an automatic 10% stake in projects. It can purchase an additional 20% within 2 years. Tax exemptions like those on petroleum products were abolished, recovering nearly $1 billion in lost revenue. Foreign employment must shrink from 10% to 5% within 6 years, ensuring millions take those jobs. And all refining and processing must happen inside Mali. The government didn't just pass laws, it acted. In October 2024, Mali nationalized the Atala gold mine, once owned by AngloGold and IAMGold. The results are striking. The African Development Bank projects Mali's GDP will jump from 4.7% growth in 2024 to 5.3% in 2025, fueled largely by mining reforms and a lithium boom. For Mali, nationalization isn't just about sovereignty, it's about survival. And then there's Niger. If Burkina Faso and Mali's battles are about gold, Niger's is about uranium, the fuel of nuclear power and nuclear weapons. For decades, French nuclear giant Orano controlled Niger's uranium industry. France depends heavily on Niger, importing 15 to 20% of its uranium to power 56 nuclear reactors. That's nearly a fifth of France's energy security. But in June 2024, Niger revoked Orano's license for the massive Imararan mine. By December, the government went further, expelling Orano from Somme, its last operating mine. This was a bombshell. Niger, the world's 7th largest uranium producer, accounting for 5% of global supply, had just kicked out France, its former colonial master, and now the government is negotiating with Russia. Rosatom, Moscow state nuclear company, already supplies 30% of enriched uranium to the EU and 23% to the US. If Russia gains control of Niger's uranium, it could dominate Europe's nuclear supply chain at the expense of the West. This isn't just about minerals, it's about power. And Niger has just flipped the board. Together, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have formed the alliance of Sahel states as, on paper, it's a security pact. In reality, it's a political and economic front against foreign dominance. All three have expelled French troops. All three are pushing mining nationalization, and all three are courting Russia as their new partner. But here's the question, is this true independence or just swapping one master for another? Former Burkina Faso mining minister Simon Pierre Bouzim tried to reassure, we do not give permits to people because they are from Russia or the United States. We give permits to a company that pays taxes and respects our laws. That's the promise. But the risks are enormous. The Sahel experiment matters far beyond its borders. For too long, Africa has been the world's quarry digging, exporting, and staying poor while others grew rich. But what if Africa changed the rules? What if instead of exporting raw uranium, gold, and lithium, it refined, processed, and manufactured at home? That would mean jobs, industries, and technology transfer, things foreign companies have long denied. Countries like Tanzania have already tried similar reforms, passing a bold mining act in 2019. If the Sahel succeeds, it could inspire a wave of nationalizations across Africa, what some call a pink tide of resources. But if it fails, if corruption, mismanagement, or dependency on Russia replaces dependency on France, then the dream of self-reliance may collapse. The alliance of Sahel states is at a crossroads. Nationalization could be the key to independence, funding schools, hospitals, and armies with Africa's own wealth, or it could trigger new dependencies, new rivalries, and even new conflicts. Burkina Faso's Traoré says, we are going to mine it ourselves. Mali's leaders say, we will refine and process at home. Niger says, France is out. We decide who comes in. It's bold, it's risky, and it could redefine Africa's future. The question now is, will the Sahel truly rise as master of its own destiny? Or will history repeat itself with new flags, but the same story? What do you think? Is nationalization the path to independence or just another gamble with Africa's resources? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into global politics.